That's right. If you heard that right, every single player between the Panthers and the Senators at one point, they all had 10-minute misconducts. Welcome in everybody to obviously my channel. So I will be reviewing all of Monday's action in the NHL. So the pretty wild fair to say the least between the Panthers and the Senators. It would be a 5-0 final in favor of the Panthers. And because of the scrum, all five players, respectively, on both teams got 10-minute misconducts, which means you basically have to leave the game. You're out. You're done for the game. So a pretty wild finish, to say the least. I'm I was mesmerized. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen that once, and I've been watching hockey for decades. So the fact that this has happened, where both teams lost three forwards and 2 defensemen respectively, is absolutely mind blowing. It's very common to have um, a player each go off, especially if they're fighting, whatever the case may be is. But the fact that this was a full on brawl with all five players getting involved is absolutely mind blowing. So there's a first time for everything, to say the least. So as I said, the final score on this one would be 5-0 in favor of the Panthers. Sam Reinhart will kick things off in the first, getting his 14th goal of the season, a power play goal, just a minute and 28 seconds into that frame, assisted by Kachuk and Barkov. So it's 1-0 in favor of the Panthers heading into the second period. Reinhardt would then double up his goals, getting second of the game, his 15th of the season. Yet another power play goal from Bennett and Barkov that would come 6 minutes into the frame. And speaking of Sam Bennett, he would then get his second goal of the season, a power play goal again. So it's just been an onslaught of power play goals in favor of the Panthers, assisted by Barkov and Montour. And at that point, it was 3-0 for the Panthers heading into the third period. Verhage would then get his ninth goal of the season, an even strength goal, at the 12-minute mark of that frame, assisted by Kulikov. And then Luosterainen, the game was already over, but 3.5 minutes, he would get his second goal of the game. There were no assists on his score. So with the victory, the Panthers are now improved to 13-7-1. And with the loss, the Senators are now one game below 500, sitting at 8-9-0. Take a look at our next matchup, which takes place in New York, where we have the host team and the Rangers, and they're playing against the Buffalo Sabres. So the teams should appear on your screen momentarily. Okay, here we go. So, with that, I have to also say that with the scheduling, there were quite a few upsets, to say the least, and this is by far one of them. So the Sabres would go into New York and get a massive road win. 5-1 would be the final score. Paterka would kick things off in the first, getting his ninth goal of the season, 11 minutes and 41 seconds into the frame, assisted by Olofsson and Owen Power. So it was 1-0 in favor of the Sabres heading into the second period. There were no goals to report in the second, so we have to jump all the way to the third. Mika Zibanejad would tie things up 8 minutes and 8 seconds into that frame, a power play goal from Gustafsson and Panarin. Alex Tuck would then give the Sabres a... Hold on a second. Did I miss something here? I apologize. Alex Tuck scored in the second period, his seventh goal of the season, and that goal happened with 27 seconds remaining in that frame, assisted by Middlestad and Dahlin. So it's 2-0 in favor of the Senators. Oh my gosh. It's 2-0 in favor of the Sabres heading into the third. Zibanejad would then give the Rangers on the board his fifth of the season, a power play goal, 8 minutes, 8 seconds into that frame, making it 2-1. Alex Tuck would then get his second goal of the game, making it 3-1. It's eighth of the season, assisted by Middlestad and Power, and that goal would have him with roughly 4.5 minutes to go in the frame. Speaking of Middlestad, he would then score a minute with a minute and a half to go, getting his fourth goal of the season from Jeff Skinner. And then Kyle Okposo would score with just under 10 seconds to go to put the game on ice at this point. His third of the season, assisted by Jokin Jura and Olofsson. So with the victory, the Sabres now back to 500. 10-10-2 is their record. And despite the loss, the Rangers are still in first place in that Metropolitan Division, sitting at 15-4-1. Okay, our next matchup takes place in Colorado, where we have the Avalanche, and they're playing host to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So just as always, you should see the teams appear on your screen in just a minute or two. And there we go. So the final score on this one would be 4-1 in favor of the Avalanche. Take a look at the goal scoring summary. So Ryan Johansson would get the lone goal in the first, 7 minutes and 12 seconds into the frame, his 8th of the season. There were no assists on his goal. Johansson would then double up his goals, getting 2 in that frame, 2 in the game, I should say, his 9th of the season, assisted by Tatar and Makar, and that goal would come with 1 minute and 48 seconds into that frame. Speaking of Makar, he would then get a power play goal 3.5 minutes into that frame, his 6th goal of the season from Rantanen and McKinnon. Anthony Cirelli would finally get the get the bolts on the board. His 3rd of the season from Hedman and Kucherov, an even strength goal, and that would happen with about 30 seconds to go in the frame. So it was 3-1 in favor of the Avalanche heading into the 3rd period. Nichushkin would pretty much put the game on ice as always. His 10th of the season, assisted by McKinnon, and that goal would happen with roughly 3 minutes to go in the frame. Well, I guess 3 minutes and 14 seconds to be exact. So with the victory, the Avalanche have now improved to 15-6-0. They're still atop of that Central Division. And despite the loss, the Lightning are still 3 games above 500, sitting at 10-7-5. Our next matchup takes place in Calgary, where we have the host team in the Flames, and they were playing against the Vegas Golden Knights. So this was just like one of a few other games where there were an upsets, to say the least. You obviously have the best team in the Pacific going against a team that's still trying to get back to 500 in the Calgary Flames. It'd be a low-scoring affair, to say the least. 2-1 would be the final score in favor of the Flames. William Karlsson will kick things off in the first on a power play goal with roughly 6 minutes to go in the period, his 10th of the season from Roy and Amadio. So it was 1-0 in favor of the Golden Knights heading into the 2nd period. There were no goals to report from the second, so we have to jump all the way to the 3rd. 2 minutes and 31 seconds into the frame, Greer would tie things up for the Flames, getting his 4th goal of the season, an even strength goal from Kadri and Zari. Uyghur would score with just about 5 seconds to go in the overtime frame, so this game was almost headed to a shootout, but Uyghur would put the game, Uyghur would win the game for the Flames, giving them a 2-1 win. So with the victory, the Flames are now just 1 game below 500, sitting at 9-10-3, and despite the loss, the Vegas Golden Knights are still atop of that Pacific Division, sitting at 14-5-3. And I believe there's just one more game to report from Monday's schedule, and that takes place in San Jose. So we're staying in the Pacific, and the Sharks, probably one of the worst teams in the league, we're taking on the Washington Capitals, who are shockingly doing pretty decently, to say the least. Okay, so you should see the team's logos as we speak. So it'd be a low-scoring affair, to say the least. Just 3 goals in the game. 2-1 would be the 2-1 would be the final score in favor of the Sharks. So again, I believe there were like 3 upsets that happened on Monday night. Zetterlund would kick things off in the first, 10 minutes and 23 seconds into the frame, assisted by Otyuk and Granlund. Into the second, Kuznetsov would tie things up for the Capitals with about 3.5 minutes to go in that frame, getting his 4th goal of the season from Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Verhavery, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. So it was all tied up in 1 heading into the 3rd period. On the power play, Kunin would then score, getting his 5th goal of the season, 12 minutes and 48 seconds into the frame, assisted by Bailey and Amberson. And that is where we would stand at the end of the match. So with the victory, the Sharks are still 10 games below 500, sitting at 5-15-2. And despite the loss, the Capitals are still 4 games above 500, sitting at 10-6-2. As always, if you like this type of content, I do videos on the daily. If you're new to this channel, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative at the same time. As always, take care.